everyone, this is Anna from Savvy Cat Realty, and today I'm here to talk to you about Cascais and the Cascais Bay area that extends after Lisbon towards the coast. So for those of you who don't know, Savvy Cat Realty is a relocation and investment agency that helps expats move to Portugal. We work from a lifestyle and sustainability way. Our goal is to help people find the best location for their own lifestyle needs, which are of course extremely varied according to what you are looking for, what your budget is, if you are coming with your family, if you are coming alone, if you are looking to a rural area towards a city. We are here to help you figure out what's the best match for you. And on top of that, we also work from a sustainability perspective and seek to help people make informed choices that do not affect negatively the local market. We are a team of locals, all Portuguese, and know our country very well and are here to help you navigate it the best we can. So if this makes sense to you, do check out our website in www.savvycatrealty.com, where you can find all of the information about our services listed very transparently. So today's topic, it is the Cascais and Estoril area, which is probably an area that maybe I should have done sooner, as it is of course extremely popular with expats, but I often talk about it as the Beverly Hills of Portugal. And it is, in a way, it is what the US calls the uptown girls. We call as tias de Cascais. So the Cascais is obviously known as a very wealthy kind of area. And it does, of course, has the amenities that come along with it. It's an incredible location to live in for the quality of life perspective. And it is truly very beautiful. Cascais and Sintra were areas where the royalty and nobility had their summer palaces hundreds of years ago, and lots of these palaces can still be seen, especially in Estoril and Sintra, although Cascais also has quite a few very, very beautiful palaces. So this area, I'm going to make a bit of an extended explanation about the coastline from after Lisbon until the Cascais, which is kind of the end of the urban area. And if you want to see I consider that the Lisbon or the suburb directly of Lisbon will end in Algés, which is already mentioned in my last video about the second area of Lisbon. And this video will focus on the Cascais Bay that extends towards all the way throughout the coastline. It's kind of where it's a foz, it's where the river meets the sea, all the way to Cascais. And there is this road, national road, and both highway and national road that connects these two locations, of course. The national road is the N6 and is very scenic. I actually highly recommend doing it just as a stroll because it's a very beautiful road to do. And it also has a train line that goes from Lisbon all the way to Cascais, which is one of the safest train lines in Lisbon. Not that the other ones are extremely unsafe, but for example, the Sintra one has kind of a bad reputation, while the Cascais one is known as being the most safe. So, starting from the closer to Lisbon, we will have Caxias, which has this location known as Cascais, which has these beautiful parks and a beach that connects with a fort. And it's a very beautiful scenic location that also offers a great quality of life. It's also important to mention that most of these areas are mostly villa areas. Some of them, and I will go over that, have some apartments. But for example, this Cascais area, this area close to the train station, which is Caxias, you will have mostly villas in that area. There are some apartments, but not a lot of them. And it's extremely hard to find properties both for sale and for rent in this area. There is, it's kind of a hidden spot, so to say. There is not a lot of offer, and it's very beautiful and has this really nice park and the train station next to it and the beach, so it kind of has everything you need. And it has some small commerce, but not a lot of it, but you are just a few train stations away from Lisbon, so it's an extremely convenient location that is actually not that pricey. It's pricey. All this area is pricey, but it's not the most pricey within this area. So this area is considered to be part of Oeiras. Oeiras is like the main city after, so you have Caxias and then you have Oeiras next to it. And because it's part of the freguesia of Oeiras, I can exactly give you separate prices for it, also because there is very low stock in the market in general. But overall, I'm going to give you the average prices that correspond to both Oeiras and Cascais or Caxias, which is an average price when the list is giving me 4,468 euros per square meter, and 4,323 euros for apartment, with an average transaction value of between 450,000 to 550,000. And on the moradias, so in the villa side, which, like I said, they are more common in this area, you will be looking between 1 and 2 million for villas, average transaction price, with an average per square meter price of 5,206 euros. Rent in this area is the lowest in the whole region of this bay until Cascais, and it's currently being listed at 17.6 euros per square meter. So that, once again, this applies to Oeiras and Caxias. So Oeiras is the next stop, and it's a bigger kind of city. It's also where you have the palace, which is gorgeous, and the park is actually public access. And then part of the property of the palace was also turned into a park, a very large extension of green land. And Oeiras is currently the cheapest area to rent in this stretch until Cascais. But the sale prices are not the cheapest. Carcavelos, which is the next areas, is cheaper than the Oeiras area. And all of these locations are quite popular around expats. Like I said, Oeiras also has train station. They go all the way throughout the coast until Cascais. And it also offers quite a good quality of life. It used to be one of the not so known or not so popular locations, but now it's doing great and it's been well renovated. And in this area, you do find quite a bit more apartments than in, for example, the Caxias area or the Cascais and Estoril area. So you have a bit of a mix of modern construction and not so modern construction. And you also have a coastline and a beach in the Oeiras side. And they are very, very demanded, I must say. I went to do the filmings in June, and they were packed. the beaches in all of the coastline were completely packed. And in my opinion, if you are looking for the coastal lifestyle, this area is great because it has a bit of everything in a great proximity to Lisbon and very, very high quality of life and green areas. But I wouldn't trade this for the Algarve beaches. I mean, Algarve tops this a lot when it comes to ocean, I mean. But it does not have the proximity to Lisbon and the amount of gardens and culture that you have in commerce in general that you have in this area at all. So I would say probably in quality of life is, if the ocean is not your main priority and you have the budget, of course, this area is probably one of the best to live. So the next area would be Carcavelos. And Carcavelos, also out of all of these areas, is the one that looks the most like a Lisbon suburb, which means a bit less organized and a bit less pruned. So it looks more like a bunch of 80s buildings. And then you of course have the coastline with the beach, and there's also two major institutions, university institutions. There's the not the sea pilots, the Marines kind of school, and then there's the University of Cascais main building, and is actually in Carcavelos. And of course you have the access, these two buildings are actually right on the main road that goes from Lisbon to Carcavelos, right along the coastline. And you have a number of small coffee shops and little restaurants in the beach side, so it's a very pleasant location too. And it is the cheapest location in this whole stretch of land, with average prices currently at 5,000 euros more or less, and apartment prices at 4,800 euros average per square meter, and property villa prices at an average per square meter of 4,900 euros. And the average transaction value for apartments is between 600 and 700,000, and for villas between 1 and 2 million, which is the lowest on villas in this whole stretch of land, although apartments-wise, Oeiras is still coming cheaper. In the Carcavelos city, you have a bit of everything. You have the building areas with high rises, you have the commercial area with lots of shopping malls and, you know, all of the amenities you may need. And then you also have a very intricate and confusing stretch of villa areas that are kind of chaotic, I must say. My GPS sent me there, and it's like miles and miles of not square at all roads that just intertwine with each other, and thousands of villas in between. You also have very good restaurants in this area. I went to a marisqueira there that was very, very good, and there is this whole plaza full of restaurants that is close to Paredes, and Paredes and Carcavelos once again belong to the same freguesia, so I cannot separate the reference prices. But Paredes is a bit of a smaller location that it's also very pleasant, and also has its own train stop, and it's much quieter than Carcavelos, that has more of a big suburb feel to it with a lot of high-rise buildings. And Paredes also has a really nice beach, a much more beautiful one than, in my opinion, the Carcavelos one. And then we get to Estoril. And Estoril is one of the those areas that is full of palaces once you start reaching Estoril. And Estoril has a bunch of areas, like you have São João de Estoril, then São Pedro de Estoril, then Monte Estoril, then Cascais. So there's a lot of Estorils here. So in São Pedro do Estoril, it's also a smaller location. It actually has a very renowned, because it's right next to Paredes, and the beach is also really nice. And then you have in Paredes you have a very renowned retiree house, a high-end one, of course, right next to the beach with amazing views. And then in São Pedro do Estoril, it's a bit more of a small location vibe, and it has a nice beach. And then you have Monte Estoril, and both São Pedro do Estoril and Monte Estoril, they have a bit of apartments, but it's a lot of villas. But there's also a lot of renovated nobility houses, which were turned into apartments. While when you start reaching Estoril itself, which is where you have the casino, and you will start getting and seeing a lot of these huge villa properties that are completely walled up, and the streets will kind of all look the same because it will be streets of walled villas with big properties and gardens, and the streets themselves tend to have trees, and then you have the center of the city where you have the train station and some hotels and the beach, which is gorgeous, and you have a walkway that goes all the way from Estoril to Cascais. And it's actually not that long of a distance to walk between the two, and there's always a lot of people running and walking through it, especially if it's good weather, and it's an extremely pleasant walk to do. And one of the things that I was very surprised about Estoril is that you have a lot of schools in Estoril. Like every block you would have a school in, and it ends up being a very good location for families because of this. You have a great offer of schools, especially international schools. I went by the Canadian one, the Dutch one, the French one. There's a bunch of them really that I went by while exploring. So you really do have a lot of offer, and it can be a great location to live with families because it's extremely safe. I mean, you can let the kids go out on the street and it should be fine. It's 99% fine. And it's just a matter of affording it. That's the thing about these locations, isn't it? They are great. They are extremely high-end. And as we say in Portugal, não é para quem quer, é para quem pode, which means it's not for anyone who wants it, it's just for those who can, which is a very Portuguese thing to say. So, Estoril, like I said, also has the casino and a lot of beautiful palaces, and then you get to Cascais. And Cascais is the biggest city of all of this. Cascais has a lot more diversity, and I will probably do a specific video about Cascais later and its different neighborhoods. But Cascais has a bit of everything. It also has the newer areas with high buildings and 2000 buildings, modern buildings. The closer you get to the shore, the more expensive things get. And then towards the Atlantic side of Cascais, you have this area with a golf course and the most expensive villas that you can get. That was very Beverly Hills-like, I must say, because I went by Beverly Hills and I went by the Hollywood area, and it's very much the same when you go to these very luxurious high-end neighborhoods. You have these huge properties that are walled off, and you just see walls and walls as you go. And sometimes you can take a peek of the absolutely gorgeous properties that are inside, but mostly you will see miles and miles of walled properties. So there is an area like this, and then you have the older town center that is full of palaces. And it's interesting because the downtown, it also has the fort and the marina. I actually should have mentioned it before. There's the marina in Cascais, and then there's the marina in Oeiras too. And in the Cascais downtown, you have these old small streets with smaller buildings, and when you have the palace and the fort sprinkled here and there. But the downtown itself tends to be smaller, like 2-3 story buildings at most, and a lot of street commerce, which is extremely pleasant. It actually reminded me a lot of Lagos. It kind of has the same vibe to it, lots of esplanadas on the streets, and lots of tourism, lots of foreigners, and you can walk everywhere with some little markets. When I arrived, they were taking away a market at one of the main plazas, lots of bars, lots of nightlife. So it's an extremely pleasant location to live with, and it also has absolutely gorgeous parks. I mean, that's one of the things people often don't realize. Often these most expensive locations one of the biggest differences that you notice between the high-end locations and the average locations tend to be the amount of green areas and well taken care of green areas. Because green areas and good parks are very expensive to keep. And a lot of people, I think, that live in the rural areas, they forgot how valuable that greenery is. And that's just a kind of a side comment that I wanted to make, because in the end, I think one of the biggest upsides of this kind of locations are definitely the absolutely gorgeous parks with very manicured streets and with trees and greenery everywhere. And then, of course, the palaces, but those you cannot take away. Cascais and Estoril are, of course, also the most expensive area in the whole stretch of land. And we are looking at average sale prices of 6,500 euros per square meter. Apartment prices, an average of 6,400 euros per square meter. And villa prices at an average of close to 7,000 euros per square meter. Average prices for transactions in villas are going between 2 and 3 million in the Cascais and Estoril area. And then for apartments between 900,000 and 1 million. So, of course, you can see why it is the Beverly Hills of Portugal. Price-wise, the prices are absolutely there. And if you go to the really, really high-end options, they will go to towards the 10,000 euros per square meter fairly easily. So I hope that this tells you a bit about the Cascais area. If you do feel like this may be the right location for you, we would be more than happy to help you. Our local agent Graciosa is extremely attentive to detail and has a great eye for picking good properties. And if you want, you can, of course, just reach out to us at contact@savvycatrealty.com or check out our website in www.savvycatrealty.com, where we have everything listed transparently. We'll release new content every week. We try to be as helpful and useful providing information. We also have our blog with a lot of useful information on our website. So if you find all of this to be adding to your life in Portugal, please do subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you all again next week. Bye!